In today's video, we talk about the theory of calories in versus calories out. Hey guys, welcome back. This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com, and welcome back just from a wonderful holiday weekend. For those that were able to spend time with friends and family, I know it was a wonderful time. Hopefully everyone had such a wonderful weekend as I did. Really getting to see my 2-year-old son enjoy his first Christmas where he kind of understands what's going on. That's a game changer. I have to admit, as a dad, seeing all that stuff go on. And then of course, I'm very blessed to spend time with my family, my wife's family, and just have so many wonderful people in our lives that this weekend was very special to me. I don't want to go too deep into that. Just wanted to say I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, and let's get back to discussing some topics. And for today's, I'm going to go off trend. I'm not going to discuss a topic that comes directly from my Instagram or a question that was asked in the comment section. Today I want to discuss a topic that I hear quite frequently amongst people discussing weight loss and how to lose weight. And it's a phrase that, if you've seen the title of this video, you already know what I'm going to say. But it's a phrase that gets overused to kind of describe the weight loss process. And I want to discuss my thoughts on why it is technically a myth. The term is calories in versus calories out. So I want to explain what I mean that calories in versus calories out is a myth. My issue with the theory of calories in versus calorie out is basically how we track those calories. Now when it comes to nutrition, for those that are watching this video, I'm going to assume that you already understand what flexible dieting means and you understand how to control your caloric intake for the day and have a good macronutrient ratio. So let's talk about the other side of the equation, not the nutrition side. This is where I feel people have the biggest misunderstanding of what's going on with their bodies. That is tracking caloric output, how many calories you're burning. You see, when we go to a gym and we get on a cardio machine and we plug in our age and our weight and we move and we reach 400 calories burned, a lot of us will say, well, I burned 400 calories there. Then they will go and use their equation to determine their general calorie burn for the day or their expected metabolic rate. And they'll say, well, if I just sit around all day, I burn 2,000 calories and I burned 400 calories doing cardio, and I trained and I burned another 400 calories. So that means today I was at 2,800 calories burned and I only took in 2,300 calories. So I should be losing weight based on those numbers. While all that math sounds nice and clean and it's easy to follow, the simple truth is this. The equations that we see for these machines, the cardio machines, are often vastly incorrect. The range of calorie burn of what your body does, what my body does, what another person's body does, can be drastically different. And so these machines are based on an estimate, and that estimate can be well off. In fact, I read a study where it can be as much as 30 to 40% or even greater difference between the calories burned versus what you actually did on the machine. Another part of the equation is understanding that your expected total daily calorie burn based on your age, weight, height, activity level that you see online on these calculators can also be very wrong. You see, it doesn't take into account your unique set of genetics, your history of dieting, and understanding you as a unique individual. So a lot of us will plug in our age and our weight and it says, oh, well, my expected metabolic rate is going to be 3,800 calories per day. Well, unfortunately, very few of us live up to that standard. In fact, if I plug in my age, my weight, my activity level, it actually predicts my metabolic rate to be higher than it is. And considering that I've been training, doing cardio, tracking my diet for the better part of my life, I would think that I would be above what is expected. So the equation that they use is an extremely high one, and it can be very dangerous to use those numbers. So what do we do if calories in versus calorie out does not give us the result we want? If you plug in all the numbers to the equations and you track your diet and you're not losing weight, what do? Well, you have to be a little bit more self-aware than that. You have to start to understand what your actual resting metabolic rate is. You have to actually start to understand what you're getting out of your cardio. My suggestion for those who are my clients, who are interested in being my clients, and for anyone who does no desire to be a client but just wants some information, is to not base your metabolic rate on an equation, but instead track your intake for an entire week. And don't adjust. Don't think, well, I'm going to be tracking my intake this week, so my diet better be spot on. No, what I would rather see you do is do a completely brutally honest diet recall, or just track for the week and eat as you normally would. If you normally only eat once a day, eat once a day. If you normally eat 6 pieces of cake a day, do that. But it's very important that you get an honest look at what you're actually doing on a day-to-day basis. This type of lifestyle information is going to be very valuable for actually understanding where you are at and why your calories in versus calories out approach has not been working. What I find typically with almost everyone is they're either way under consuming what they think they were, or they're over consuming a certain macronutrient group. Usually it's going to be higher fats or higher carbohydrates. Very rarely do I come across someone who is underestimating their protein intake. Most of the people that I find that track their protein with regularity are very well aware of the other macronutrients. So if someone is guesstimating what they're eating and they're eating off plan, it's usually going to be foods that are higher in fats and higher in carbohydrates. So for you guys, what I would suggest is just do an honest assessment. Track your diet every day. Do it in the way that is the least stressful, even if it just means writing what you eat down as you eat it during the week, and then going back, plugging it into a food or an app tracking device that allows you to kind of do a recall on what you've eaten. Now you understand where your metabolism is. So if you track what you've been eating for the last week and you know roughly what your weight's been doing for the last year, gaining, losing, now you know where your metabolic rate roughly is. This is the first and most important step. Now, what do we do about changing things? Well, based on that, you can find out if you are actually under-consuming or over-consuming. And this is where things get a little bit tricky, because calories in versus calories out should technically make sense. But what happens if you under-consume calories for a long period of time? You get an adapted metabolism. The metabolism slows down. You also get a hormonal change. In this situation, what may actually be better for you is doing less endurance-based cardio, eating a little bit more food, and you may actually start to lose weight. I know we've all heard the stories of Samantha got on this diet, she ate more calories, did less cardio, and she lost weight. This is actually quite common, happens all the time, and it's because their bodies were in a position where they were forced to store body fat based on history. Now, it's not always the case. I know it sounds exciting to eat more and do less, but I've come across a lot of people that are extreme cardio junkies, or they've worked with teams in the past where they've been put on 2 to 3 hours of cardio per day on very minimal calories. And so in these cases, reducing cardio output and increasing calories actually starts to boost the metabolic rate, put the hormones back into a better position, and the body can start to respond as it should. Now, what if the same is also true and someone is grossly overeating their calories, but they're getting a lot of their calories from fats and carbohydrates? Well, I have found that placing this person on a similar caloric intake, but changing their macronutrient ratios, really will help the process, really will help the person get to a better body composition. And that is because protein has a satiating effect. It is the most difficult to digest, so you get a greater thermic effect of the food. So technically, even though you may be eating the same amount of calories as you were before, you're getting an improved thermic effect of food from eating a higher protein diet. I can't give specifics, I can't give exact numbers, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of the things that I hear on a day-to-day basis amongst my family and friends that are not involved in nutrition and the pure theory of calories in versus calories out. I don't want everyone to think that they have to eat nothing or be a marathon runner to lose weight. It's simply not the case. But it is up to the individual to look at their case, to look at your individual situation and not compare yourself to a calculator that you found online, to what somebody else is eating that has a similar body composition. I have friends that eat a lot more than me, and I have friends that eat a lot less than me, and it all comes down to understanding and being self-aware of your individual situation. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. I know it's not a black and white issue, calories in versus calories out. Ultimately, it comes down to where your metabolic rate is, where your hormones are at, where your activity level is, and what position and what state your body is. It's going to be an awesome week. We're leading up to the new year. I hope everybody had an awesome Christmas. Please comment below with how your Christmas went, what you're planning to do for New Year, and if you have any questions about the material. Planning to do a video every day this week. Anybody that is going to be in LA on January 7th and 8th, I will be there with my good friend, the brilliant Dr. Layne Norton. We are going to spend the weekend in LA doing some really fun activities, including attending the LA Fit Expo. We'll also be doing some training, and I believe Layne is going to be doing a seminar on Monday. So go to his website, biolayne.com, for details on that if you're interested. As always, guys, this is Paul from ProPhysique.com. Have an awesome week between Christmas and New Year's, and let's make 2017 fantastic.